For a person identified as one with a low functional intelligence, my cognitive and listening skills sharpened my intellect. While interacting through a limited body that barely listened to my brain, I learned that I was surrounded by unconditional love that needs no language.
Vikram, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hello, Doug. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity for me personally to reach out and express my thoughts freely. This is a first for me. I really do appreciate you finding it valuable for your audience to hear what I have to say. Having been largely silent, the spelling board has unlocked my mind after 27 years of not being understood and not having a voice. Being a non-speaker, I have used a text-to-speech software. Hope you like my voice.
Absolutely, and I know our listeners are going to find what you have to say very, very important, Vikram. So I wanted to start out and just learn, where does your story in the autistic community begin?
Autism is my label bestowed on me by fellow humans who are more comfortable boxing based on haves and the disadvantaged. Since my label as a 3-year-old, my behavior conformed to the textbook definition: a low intelligence, non-speaking, non-existent person on the fringe of mainstream existence. I have been blessed with parents that will never give up on me, believing that I am an individual that has a place and a contribution to make. I wish to make my own story one of triumph, of hope and love over impossibility.
Now, I know for the first 27 years of your life, you had a limited ability to communicate even your most basic needs. However, I saw on your Twitter profile where you talk about being a silent observer of the universe. So I'm really interested to know, what insights do you think that silent observation has given to you about our planet?
Fortunately for me, my dad and mom never made the lack of communication a debilitating problem. My outbursts caused by my anxiety and frustrations made things worse, but they understand the challenges and never gave up on me. I often retreat into my thoughts and imagination, which takes me beyond my painful physical reality. Thought has no boundaries, and traversing metaphysical barriers to confounding creations, challenging reality beyond our limiting senses. The expanse of thought could be more dynamic and engaging than the timeless mass of energy referred as the universe. Silent observation and questioning every thought is sometimes a wondrous, intense conversation transcending trivial social dialogue. I enjoy these conversations with myself. The planet is but an evolutionary blip.
Now, Vikram, I'm always impressed by people that can communicate in multiple languages. So during, these first 27 years of your life, I read that you learned multiple languages. What are the languages that you have knowledge of, and how did you go about learning them?
Human brains are always communicating. I understand English, Hindi, Malayalam, and the emotional play which is entertaining. Human dialogue, TV, and movies provide content and context for learning languages.
Well, I get confused just by English, so I am super impressed by you learning those languages. Talking about this planet, you're an inspiring poet, and I recently shared a poem you wrote in honor of Earth Day called "Speck of Paradise." What would paradise look for you if we as humans did a much better job of respecting our Earth?
Paradise is a space in our imagination. We have a notional sense of continuing happy thoughts that are disrupted by events that break the continuing status quo. The Earth and our environment have been our medium of worldly expression, that has swung from ecstasy to the depths of human experience. In our quest for perpetual comfort, We grab every resource to enhance our short lives. The selfish exploitation is misdirected creativity. We are already in a state of happiness if our thought moves beyond material and physical comforts. We are in paradise and need to preserve it.
Another poem that you recently wrote is called My Stims, which discusses your brain-body disconnect. My Stims was turned into a song. Can you tell me a little bit about the collaboration that came to pass with the performing artist that sang your song?
Gaia like me draws inspiration from the vibrations from music and harmony with expression. My dad has known her since her birth and explored her, teaching me to create music. I was not interested but saw that my poem had the potential to be the lyrics for My Stims. My body hurts and is disconnected from the reality of most other people, which is unexplainable. My Stims, the song sung by Gaia, beautifully expresses my pain, anger, and hopes for recovery. She is an angel with a divine voice.
She definitely has a beautiful voice. Vikram, in My Stims, you wrote about how your intellect is your strength, and you love this weapon. How do you hope to use this weapon, your intellect, in the future?
For a person identified as one with a low functional intelligence, my cognitive and listening skills sharpened my intellect. While interacting through a limited body that barely listened to my brain, I learned that I was surrounded by unconditional love that needs no language. Poetry is my language, harmonizing my vivid thoughts and dreamy aspirations to energize a call to action. Love drives unfathomable capacity for compassion for our planet's co-inhabitants.
Now, in terms of using your intellect, Vikram, people have a much better understanding of how intelligent you are because you're able to communicate your thoughts and feelings in recent years due to learning to spell to communicate. I've read that you spent about 6 months of daily sessions to learn to communicate in this manner. So I'm wondering if someone listening to this interview is wanting to learn to spell to communicate, how critical do you think are daily sessions over a 6-month period in this process?
I never imagined that I would escape from jail after 27 years of solitude and hopelessness. The experts killed all hope, but not my tireless parents and my baby sister. Soma believed in my competence, and I started to feel some sense of self as Roxy and Jess were able to get my thoughts together to get my S2C going. The rigorous practice every day with the determination of my parents kept me going up to the point where I developed the courage to attempt poetry. Emily Dickinson is a loner like me. Namitha helped with the technique to create my own style of verse. There is no shortcut to training the brain and muscles to work together effortlessly.
Well, Vikram, I'm so glad that, as you put it, escaped from jail. So I have the opportunity to learn from you today, and you're able to share your poetry with myself and so many others. So if people want to learn more about you beyond this interview and about your poetry, how can they go and about doing so?
My Twitter account at Silent Poetvik, my Instagram account at Silent Poetvik, and my dad's article on my journey on Medium, link in the caption.
And, I'm wondering, is there anything that I haven't asked you or we haven't discussed that you'd like to share with the listeners of the Autism Stories podcast today?
Angels are all around us. It's important we recognize that the easy way out is to give up. Imagine that could mean someone you love being condemned to imprisonment for life. Will you ever forgive yourself?
And I think that's a great question to end with, Vikram. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for joining me.